All right, we're live. Awesome. Look at that. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. It's been a little bit of a day today. and I was like, oh, yeah, I need to get all these photos together. Oops. But hi, welcome everyone to our Sunday of my 5th year anniversary celebration. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you're excited, and I hope you're going to enjoy walking through all these memories with me. Here with me, I have Lena from Agato Designs. Lena's worked with me on several projects, several collaborations, is also like the main reason why garments are constructed well. Thank you. And I'll let Lena, if you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do.
Well, like Puvi said, I'm Lena from Agato Designs. I've known Puvi for several years, almost since the beginning of her shop. And like I do all of the garments that are like the Lolita, especially. I do the patterns and the sample products for them, and I actually have manufactured in my small little studio some of the first custom prints that Puvi did. Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to reminisce upon better times because, like you said, we're all having a time. It's been a year, and what better reason to celebrate something that's not right now?
Yes. Oh, there's going to be some fun memories in there. I don't know if you're going to be expecting some of these reminders. All right. Oh, and a key to everybody at the end, pay attention because we will be quizzing those who have opted in for the Jumbotron and the Tea Party later today on some different fun Puvithel facts. And a lot of those answers are going to be covered in this. So if you get that question later and you're like, how could I have possibly known this? Well, maybe you should have paid attention to the panel. All right, and without further ado, here is Puvithel 5 years. All right, so I first wanted to show some of my early works. This is kind of, most of this is pre me trying to like sell stuff. I think even Lena, you probably haven't seen a lot of this stuff before. But
I remember the cards with the bows on them. You were making those when I found you, and I think my girlfriend Christy actually has some of your steampunk items still, because back then we were still also into steampunk, and I think that's how you got started.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. I remember now there being discussions about those those cookie cards. And I think Christy might be the only one who has some of those old items. But yeah, I did a lot of steampunk stuff. I had a friend who was Wiccan, so I started making some Three Moon Goddess sort of things over here. The famous moon circlets, which I recently did an online order for them earlier this year for the first time in years. But yeah, this is my old work. I did study enameling in high school, and I've got a picture of one of my enamel pieces here. I did enjoy that, and I was okay at it, but it's hard. And then from there, I just started making stuff as kind of a way to de-stress and pass the time. But as a poor college student, craft supplies are expensive, and I had no money. So I initially started up an Etsy to try and just like whatever sold, and I got it back, and didn't put that much effort into it until 2015 when I decided to start trying to do conventions. And so most of the photos here are the bracelet and the enamel piece in that top photo. The bracelet's something I still kind of kept as a memento to myself, since that was one of the first pieces of jewelry I made that I was really proud of. And same with the enamel piece. I still have that kept at home. But everything else was part of that first few batches that I took to cons. Yeah, so MomoCon was my first con, MomoCon 2015. And Lena hasn't heard this story before, but it's a hilarious story. I did get hooked up with Artist Alley Network International when I started, which is a group for Artist Alley, and they have a lot of really good newbie resources and a lot of very helpful people who, like, I would ask questions, I'd answer. So I knew, don't start with a big convention for your first con. It will be overwhelming and you will be unprepared. I knew this, and and yet, yes, we'll get to the yet. I knew this, and I had prepared for HamaCon, which was a small to medium con in Alabama. Unfortunately, it no longer runs. I think they stopped a couple years ago. They decided to like, okay, I think this is the biggest we're going to get, and this is going to be the last con where it makes sense to do it. So they ended. But I enjoyed that con. So HamaCon was supposed to be my first event. It was like a 1 day. I want to say it was a 1 day event and a small event, and I was smart. But I had applied for MomoCon the year before just for the heck of it, because for those of you who don't know, MomoCon originated at Georgia Tech. MomoCon was the first convention I ever went to because I went to Georgia Tech, and it was held by Georgia Tech students. It was initially held on campus, and when I first went in 2009, it was held in campus buildings and in our classrooms, and it was free, and it was a whole thing. And then, of course, it grew into this large convention. So by 2015, it was in the Georgia Convention Center. It was a big, huge deal. But since I'd always known about MomoCon, I did apply to it just as a like, I'm not going to get in, but whatever. It's my home con. I should apply. Well, 2 weeks before MomoCon, I get an email. Hey, we had a waitlist spot open up. We noticed you live in Atlanta, so you are probably one of the only people who can actually make it to the event this year. Do you want this table? And I was like, well, I guess. So I had 2 weeks to prepare for MomoCon, which was, I want to say at this point, like 10, I think it was still 10,000 people at that point. Still a very difficult to get in con. 2 weeks, never con before. Didn't have anything together. I was running around. I actually had a friend who made soaps, and we split the table. She took the 2 days I couldn't get off of work, and I took the Saturday, Sunday, and showed up with whatever I managed to cobble together. I worked at the time in a print studio, or I used to work there, and I had I don't remember. It was around the time where I changed jobs. I think I was still working there at the print studio at Georgia Tech, and got these banners quickly printed and pulled jewelry supply, like display out of my house, cobbled together this. My good friend, who was unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, she agreed to come help me table and let me dress her up and help me out. It was a big help. So yes, that's how my first event went. And just to be clear, even at this time in 2015, everybody around me had beautiful, giant, gorgeous displays, and I had this.
I don't feel too bad about that, though, because any convention you go to, there's always going to be somebody in Artist Alley who it's their first con, and you can kind of tell it's their first con. And at the very least, you had your first one, and you started with a bang, because you went big. It's like, go big, go home.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. And then I think I even like made stuff at home and brought it in the next day because I lived here. It's a whole thing.
When I'm tabling at a local con, I literally just bring craft supplies with me, and I make stuff at the booth most of the time.
Oh yeah, I did that too for a while, but not at this event, since at this time it was still very heavily like working on gluing stuff together. I think I even offered drawing commissions and got a couple. I did like $5 commissions for Primsacolor. I'm not that good of an artist when I draw, and wasn't at this time either, but I had it up. That was fun. Well, I sold everything I brought, which wasn't that much.
I mean, but that's still an accomplishment, because like at conventions, people like overcrowded tables. So if you managed to sell everything you brought, clearly your stuff was good.
Yeah, it definitely when I did that well, like it really, I was really excited. I would have been excited to have sold one or two things. I'd never done it before. I wasn't prepared. And it really, like, I really did celebrate after that. I really did feel that way. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did so well. Oh, it was an interesting and fun time. And it was definitely funny going to HamaCon after being at MomoCon.
Which, I don't know if you're going to talk about this later, but we need to talk about the elephant in the room and the fact that your sign says something that's not your name.
Oh yeah, let's mention that.
I used to think that this name was best suited for a Taobao brand, and I'm really glad that you changed it to your personal name.
Well, this is before we knew about Taobao, so I studied a lot of Chinese in college, and I was really interested in Chinese culture, so I'd incorporated that into my Lolita branding. I had started as subtly steampunk, intending to just do steampunk, and I'm actually still pretty proud of that logo. I think that was
Yeah,
pretty cute.
cute.
Yeah, and then for Xiao Loli, that was going to be my Lolita line, but then I started wanting to do like more things, visual K, and then and later in I want to say early 2016, I decided to switch branding to my name so that I could do whatever I wanted instead of being limited. And you can see that continues nowadays. I do Manhera, I do Lolita, I do Punk, I do Guro Kawaii, I do Yume Kawaii. I've done some Decora, just everything. So it's the better branding is to be more specific on your branding, and it is really better to have separate brand lines, but that's hard. So Puvithel for everything. I was inspired also because Hey Newly just goes by her name, and I was like, okay, well, that's working out well for her, so let me do that. And Megan Maud went by her name, Samantha Ray went by her name. So yes, that's when that change happened. I have seen recently a few people have my old Xiao Loli business card, and I have to say I don't know how. How do you have that?
Because at one point you definitely handed me a stack of them like years ago, but also I had stuff I bought from you at the time which had them, and it just when I buy stuff I tend to store it on the cards and it just sits here on their cards.
Oh yeah, do you still have some of those?
Not anymore. They fell up. Like the ones that were branded fell apart, but then I keep finding the random circle boys inside of my bins from back in the day because the bins never get fully cleaned out. You know, they go from one convention to the next convention to another convention, and just more stuff gets added in.
That's hilarious. I wonder if like we're gonna be at a con like 10 years from now and you're gonna pull one out and just be like,
last year when I was doing inventory at the collective, I found some.
Oh man. Oh, high quality vintage there. Oh. Yeah, but yeah, somebody mentioned that they can see where my new brand logo came from the Xiao Loli. Yeah, I did definitely. My new logo, it was handwriting. I actually drew it out and then I modified it heavily in Illustrator. And I keep telling myself I should update it and just never. So I guess I'm just going to stick with that forever.
It's recognizable at this point.
Yeah. We'll pretend it's necessary. So then I couldn't find a photo of my booth at Hamacon, but the next one I had was AOA 2016, and so this is like the major turning point for me. This is when I actually decided that I was going to try and start a quote unquote brand. Before this, even with having had fun at MomoCon and having had some success at MomoCon and Hamacon, I still was very much like, this is a hobby. I'm just trying to make back my craft supplies so that I'm not, I get some of that money back. That was up until AWA. That was what I was kind of going for. And so what happened at AWA? Well, so you can see I had this rickety booth display with these PVC pipes, and just look at this. It's such a flat display. Well, so several things. So AWA was the first, I actually made a whole K at AWA, which was a huge success, especially third event. Everybody online have been telling me, hey, you're not going to break even for the first few events, and that's normal. Don't get discouraged. But I actually like made money on this event, and I was overjoyed. I had so many good interactions with people. And this was also like, I had always known about Lolita Collective, and this was the first event I had been at as a vendor where Lolita Collective was also vending. And at the end of the event, Emma from Lolita Collective actually came over and was like, "Hey, let me get some of your inventory, and I'll sell it at cons for you." And I was like, oh my god, Lolita Collective wants to sell my things. This is amazing. So when that happened, I was like, well, if Lolita Collective thinks my stuff is good enough to take around, maybe I should like try to put some real serious effort into this. And that was like a very distinct point where I made that decision. And again, because Emma reached out to me and was like willing to take a chance with some of my stuff as a newer artist. So huge. So it's definitely, as we'll go on, I'll show you more instances of Lolita Collective helping me with things, but it's hard to say if I would have done a brand in the same way like this if she hadn't came out to me and given me that confidence boost at this time. So huge shout out to Emma from Lolita Collective for that. Here.
I'm like trying to remember when I joined the collective, and it was maybe the year before you, but my story is very similar. Except I didn't have a full booth. Like, I was attending with a friend, and I can't remember what year this happened, but you'll probably remember what year. I joined the collective during that anime Matsuri where all the, stuff happened that we then started boycotting immediately after.
Oh yeah, that happened.
That year I was there, and I had known Emma, and we'd met in passing. Like, I first met her at the second Frill, which you were also there. I was there, and we didn't know each other, but like, we met in passing, and we just didn't know each other until like 4 or 5 years later. But at that anime Matsuri, Emma came over, saw a handful of items I had put on my friend's Artist Alley table because I was there helping them, and I just happened to have stuff. And they're like, I love this. Please sign up for the collective. Let me take your stuff and let us sell it online. And I've been working very closely with the collective ever since then.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, oh man. Oh yeah, that Frill too. The Frill that everybody was at and we didn't know each other at the time. I was thinking about adding some Frill photos, but then I also know that, like, for some of my Atlanta friends, Frill's a little traumatic.
It was before the brand, so that was my first Lolita brand event where I was selling at, but it was like how your table is sad, my table was also sad. We all start somewhere.
Oh yes, yep. Yeah, just that shout out there. Like, look, this is my old stuff. Not the best. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay. But you can start with doing E6000 gluing gears together. It's fine. You'll grow from that. All right. So then, NashiCon 2016. Me and Lena were actually discussing whether or not we met at NashiCon 2016
or TACO 2016, because, like, in my memory, I remember Emma introduced us at TECO, and I watched your booth because you just needed somebody, like, to watch your booth while you went to a tea party that you had bought a ticket for, and you thought you had somebody to help you, and you didn't have somebody to help you, and so I ran your booth for an hour, and you brought me macarons and handed me a 20.
I like made and sold a $16 bracelet that you like 100% made, and I was like, you could have.
Yeah, well, somebody came in and they wanted a custom. You had all the stuff, and I actually sat there and watched you do the custom. So I'm like, but I mean, for me, that's a normal part of customer service. But then, besides working for myself, I've only ever worked at small boutiques full of handmade items. So it's the same thing, even though like customization is a thing, but is common for me anyway. I
think about it.
I don't know where it falls in our timeline, but I am convinced we met at TECO, and then because we met at TECO at NashiCon, we were like, "Oh hey, Puvi, how are you?" And then Christy came over and was looking at your stuff, and then you came over and you looked at my stuff, and then we did tradesies because that's what artists do.
Yes, I feel like, though, I talked to you very briefly before meeting you at TECO. I think at the previous, like we don't remember for sure, but I remember knowing about Paulina from Emma before meeting her, because Emma's always very good about, like, these are trustworthy people.
The funny thing about me is, like, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, hi, I know you," and I'm like, "Who is this person?"
Oh, I want to say we I don't know, maybe I can't remember. But you working for me at TECO was major foreshadowing, because we've ended up sharing booths and helping each other out a lot.
Yeah. Over the years. Was that only 2016? I guess that makes sense, because I'm like, it's either been 4 or 5 years of Puvi in my life.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's like, oh, it's only 2016, but also that was like 4 years ago. Feels like a lifetime away.
This year has taught us anything. Time is an illusion.
Yeah. I was actually thinking while going through my photos, I was finding so many more after I'd moved to Pittsburgh. Whereas I keep thinking of myself as an Atlanta brand who just recently moved to Pittsburgh. But then I was like, wait a second, I moved to Pittsburgh almost 4 years ago.
Yep.
I've been in Pittsburgh longer with the brand longer than Atlanta. Oh, I face palmed so hard right then that my camera lost focus. Well, yes. Yeah, look at that. You can see I've like started. Oh, these are my first screen printed shirts I ever did. My uncle runs a screen printing company in India, and I do all my screen printing through him. And he was a huge sweetheart, and he actually made those shirts for me for free, that first batch, as a like, hey, congratulations, my niece starting a business. I want to help you. So he was a huge sweetheart and kind of surprised me with that at the end. So yeah, fun fact there. I should bring back that royalty design.
You really should. Like, you should redo that one, because I don't know. I actually should send this to you. I forgot you had done the royalty design, because I just, for my Patreon this month, I have a royalty sticker that I'm doing, but it's a T10. Good puns are, ageless.
Oh, you know what happened? I did try to update the royalty, but that turned into the Illuminati set.
Oh, that's right.
So I need to update it again, but keep it royalty. The donut want does not fit into my current branding that well, but I was very happy with myself. I would have to modify it significantly to get it to fit into blush appropriately, I think. But I still appreciated that. I was happy with that joke.
Did you still have the washi tape?
I think I have 4 or 5 rolls, maybe. I started using it on packaging, so I used up a lot of it. I think I have some. The next one. Oh, yeah. So we're gonna talk a lot more about London Gate later. When I'm gonna bring up all the design photos, but I wanted to just point out in the timeline.
I'm still salty that the blue never happened, and I need you at one point. I just need to send an email and be like, "Hey, custom print me some blue."
Yeah, I'll make some just for you. But I mean, I was very proud of this as a first design, especially that I only learned Illustrator in 2015, 2016. I worked at a multimedia studio, and we had access to lynda.com tutorials for free. And they encouraged us on our downtime to learn how to use the other software in the multimedia studio, because my job was like helping people who came into the studio and teaching all of these engineering kids how to use the Adobe products. So I sat down one weekend that year. Nobody was coming in, and I taught myself Illustrator. So this was very early on in my Illustrator journey, and this entire print is done 100% in Illustrator. I don't know if people know that, but yes. So that print's a whole story, but we'll talk more about that later. And like Lena is like getting war flashbacks.
Well, yeah, it's a fun story. Like the whole, like even just the inspiration behind this print, and then the whole process. It was a whole process.
I have one dress left and some of the gray skirts left.
I don't know if I should talk about this here, because it might be giving people false hope. I still have some of this fabric that I have promised Puvi to do one-off creations that would be custom collabs, and eventually it will happen.
Eventually. Yeah, no, good. Mention it here so that people will pressure us into finishing that.
I guess we'll talk about this later on as far as collabs, because this is one of the prints that we've done a collab with.
Yeah, yes.
There'll be more of that one day.
Oh, I should have brought up those photos. But yes, yes. That's when I started designing it. I pestered the heck out of Emma, like, how do I actually make this? And I think she kind of to like get me off her back, because I'm sure at this point she had like thousands of people like, how do I make my Lolita dress? But she gave me a production group in Atlanta, a sewing group that sews things together, and was like, here you go, talk to them. But when I actually did get these made and got them made through the production company a year later and came back with them, I think she was really impressed. She was like, "Oh, you actually did it."
And that was with the skirts.
Yes.
Just the skirts.
Yeah, just the skirts. Lena did all the dresses. Yeah. Oh yes, this was a funny moment. So, a Tweety Tart commissioned me to decorate a potato to match her favorite ribbon coordinate for the MechaCon tea party. And I had a huge laugh out of this, and I was like, "How do I do this?" So I pinned some ribbon and supposed to a potato.
The most kawaii potato.
The most kawaii potato. And then she gave the potato to the designer, and I was like, I didn't know that she was gonna do this. I didn't know, and I also like the designer is clearly very didn't know what to do with this, but also tickled that she got handed a potato. That was a fun. That MechaCon was fun. The whole New Orleans Lolita community, they're great. They were so great. I just showed up. This happened at a lot of events. I would dress in Lolita to go to events and be an artist. And so because I was wearing Lolita at my table, most Lolitas are very, very sweet. So they'd see me wearing Lolita at the table, have no idea who I was, and would come up and say hi and look at my table just because they wanted to be like, "Oh, I see you are a Lolita. I'm going to support you." So a fun fact, a lot of the part of my brand growing that wasn't Lolita Collective was the Lolita community just naturally wanting to support people in their community. So that's how I met everybody. They were just like, "Oh, I see you are a Lolita. I will come say hi." And had a great time here giving a potato to the Alice and the Pirates designer. Oh, so fun. Oh, goodness. I don't think I have a quiz question about the potato. Maybe I should have included one.
You should have included the potato. The potato was iconic.
It's an iconic potato.
What is the most bizarre Puvie accessory Puvie has ever Puvied? A kawaii potato that was brand.
Oh man, yes, yep.
Yes, the meat print.
Oh yes. Wait, this is
early.
Not 2016.
This photo is out of place.
This is MechaCon 2017.
That was a bad time.
That was a time. Oh yeah, that was the time where all of the tables got moved. Oh, the poor. Okay,
so in a basement, and there was no light, and then their solution to that was just to move every table so that they were under a spotlight. They moved from under a light though to being half in shadow, and it was just a bad time had by all.
I will prephrase this with the head of the Artist Alley room was legitimately trying her dang hardest to make things work out for us, and it was not her fault. She had nothing to do with how the room layout ended up being kind of terrible. Yeah, and the entry and exit were here, but the vendor's room is its own room.
The vendor's room was a part of the basement, but slightly better lit, and also nobody could find it, so they had an even worse time than the artist did.
They did. I did okay at this con because I managed to get one of the 10% of spots that people actually.
It was the one and only New Orleans convention I have ever done, and the only highlights of the event were bless Emma, because Emma was there. Emma was also having a bad time. And then after the convention ended, we went down to Bourbon Street and got absinthe, and then we went out for a really good Italian dinner, and I stole some of Emma's clothes to wear out. It was great.
That was great.
Her dress, quite literally.
Yeah, absinthe was great. Just to note there, I don't usually drink that much at cons because I'm usually working, and if I'm working, so two things. If I'm working, I have to sleep, and also my immune system is very much reliant on me sleeping, so I have to sleep 8 hours to make sure I don't get sick. So, but we made an exception for that absinthe. It was good. Yeah, but this was 2017 or 18. I don't know why I've got this out of order. There we go. All right, AWA 2016. So this is 1 year after I made the decision to, all right, let's take things seriously. let's actually put some effort into this. And you can see that in a year with lots of help from other artists in the artist alley and some grid some box grids, grid cube.
You can also spot the circle earring things. Those are your old business cards.
Oh yeah, yep. I was trying to use them up by making them earring card holders. Of course, now I have like custom ones, but
yeah, literally. I think I've got one of the custom. My camera doesn't want to show it. Puvi nonsense.
Yeah, you do. Look at that. Shiny, so sparkly. Oh man, look at what I used to sell over here. I got like some I've got like some pendants just by themselves.
I was talking to Fiona last night and I was like talking about the body chains. That's one thing that would be amazing to have brought back, because this right here, 2016, was the age of the Puvi waist chain.
Yes. I love those were fun, but there, as you can see, I did not know how to display them at all.
It's really hard to display them. Like even with my body chains, I put them on a hanger, but they look better when they're on an actual body. So now I have a bunch of t-shirt forms that I just hang on some grid wall and have a whole wall of body chains at conventions. But
I like how you display those now. I think my problem now is like, I think people who ordered the Crystal Heart waist chain saw it took me 4 or 5 months to finish all of those, and I only opened up, I think, 15 slots. They take a long time.
And those are no more, because no more Crystal Heart, potentially.
Yeah, yes, but I will be doing something in January when the order is ready to let people who pre-ordered have an opportunity to get waist chains. But I'm just like, it's going to take me, I'm going to like open up maybe 30 and it's going to take me the whole year to do them all.
So I remember when you discontinued the waist chains, you put them all in your outlet section of your shop. And I love the way you photographed them. Maybe they just need to be a Puvi online shop exclusive, because you could take good photos of them and they look amazing on the dress form.
Yeah, I will do that. The problem now has been I started an engineering job again.
Yeah.
So now I just have no time.
No time.
I need Lizzie to come back. I need a clone. I had somebody helping me last year.
We all have that problem. We all have that problem right now where it's like we can't have our helpers come over to help.
Yeah, my I have like people who, so she was working for me part-time. And then I had people who will emergency help me, but all of those people are having, like, they're all working in the kind of 2020 jobs where they're essential and are very stressed. And I also used to make it a social gathering. So I'd have like 3 people over and it would be a fun time and we'd get a ton of work done in a day. Can't do that. So
yeah,
we'll see. Next year I'm gonna have to hire somebody part-time again, period, because I'm working again now. So I'm gonna figure that out. And when I figure that system out, I might be able to bring the waist chains back if it's something I get somebody to help me with. We'll see. Oh yeah, person asking about no more Crystal Hearts. Well, I'll tell that story again.
I'll tell that story. So I'm like, we'll talk about that later. But this is also, you were still doing bracelets. I can see your bracelets in this photo too.
Oh, yeah,
and the little bows. That was the thing I got from you at NashiCon, was a little gold bow boy with a dangly heart bit. I still use that.
Oh snap! Really?
Yeah. I mean, I pull it out, but my accessory area is an absolute disaster, and it would take me 5 minutes and a lot of shuffling. But I use that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like those. Those are cute. I just stopped doing them. I have a few left. I like last year I got Lizzie to finish making all of what I had supplies for. So I had like some. Some. Oh. Good. All right. So
here it is.
Yeah, here is my first fashion show ever. This is featuring the skirts I had made in Atlanta for London Gate and the sample, which was done in plain black before the fabric was printed. And yeah, that was an interesting time. Andia, who I believe is around, got us a big room at Dragon Con to kind of try and do a fashion show. But it is Dragon Con, so we didn't have like changing rooms or like any sort of model accessibility. So the poor models had to change in the bathroom, and I felt kind of bad about that. But this is my first show ever, and I managed to harangue some friends Fun fact: one of my models here ended up becoming like really big online on Instagram, which is great. I always feel good. I feel pretty happy when I spot somebody. I'm like, you've got a good style, you've got a good talent, and then later finally people recognize it, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, I knew that. I called it. Their Insta. Let me link it in the chat because everybody should follow them because their work is like you'll see it and you'll be like, oh yeah, I see why you like this movie. It's very my sort of like grunge punk goth. There you go. Popped in the chat. I'll pop it in a banner too. Pop. Yeah, go follow her. So good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, but that was a fun show. This is before like I made some like complicated Vine nonsense that made poor Gwendolyn wear it. But I had a lot of fun. I still have that Vine nonsense. I keep going back to it and going, oh, I should really throw this out. I should really throw this out, and then just putting it back in its box. Oh well. Yep. So yep, baby's first fashion show. I think I did okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And then this is CamiCon, where I'm starting to finally get something cohesive going. I started the purses. The purses are a fun story too. I actually spent a lot of time coming up with designs before going to India. I found out one of my aunts has her own purse company, so she does her own original designs and purses and like has her own brand, but also has like a whole facility for it. And I was like, hey, would you maybe do some? Oh, there goes my camera. Oh, it came back. Cool. All right. I asked, okay, would you maybe do some stuff for me? And she was interested, especially because she has full-time employees. She's trying to keep paid. So more work for her is good. And I went over there with a few designs, and then we did some samples, and then the ones that I had designed ahead of time I hated. But I saw she had done a pillow with a similar design to this cute heart embroidery, and I was like, you know what? That design would make a good purse. And so I worked with her to make these Sweet Memories heart purses that if you think that they look like a cushion your grandmother might have, that's why.
I didn't know that story. That's amazing. I knew that like you had taken elements of stuff she already had. I didn't know it was a pillow.
Yep, it was. If she had, it was a square pillow. Square pillow with that embroidery on it, that design. I think it was a pink and gold one. And I looked at it and I was like, purse.
It makes perfect sense. Lolitas love wearing couches and turning pillows into bags. Like AP's done that multiple times.
Yes, though unlike the AP bags, you can fit things in these purses. So I started making them. I was like, okay, if I'm going to spend $100 on a purse, I want it to hold my things. The goth brands are a little bit better about this, I think. H. Nato has never let me down with a purse, but yep, that's how that started. All the fun. All
This
fun.
was the CamiCon you dragged me to.
I don't remember.
I think this is the CamiCon you dragged me to because you
have
the monster tights that never got a real release, and there was the dress that was the 8-bit potion that never got a real release that I made the sample for.
Yes, yeah, you did your too.
I'm here because I could see the tote bag on the mannequin's arm that I made that tote bag.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, and the dresses are on the other side. I see them.
Yes, this is the one you dragged me to. This was the one that the Alabama Com wanted to do a Lolita event, and I was like, oh well, can I show some stuff? And they were like, yeah, sure. And I was like, I can get you other people too. And so I got the designs presented there, and the Black Ribbon also presented there at CamiCon. CamiCon's one fashion show. The Alabama community did a really good job with that show, though. The production value was
that was a really great event.
Yeah, that was fun. I think I put a photo. Yes, here we go. So those are my looks for CamiCon's show. You can see the first draft of Slaughterhouse. So for those of you who have been paying attention to Dogs and Desserts, it takes a long ass time for me to finish a Lolita print. There's a lot of. I think you made that dress too.
I made this slaughterhouse, and I made this the potions dress.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the first draft of it. Very different than what it ended up being, but I like that. I think somebody bought
This
that dress.
this white one is my favorite version of Slaughterhouse, not just because I made it, but because it is so pure white and I made it. And it's got a lace overlay. You can't even see it in this photo.
Oh yeah.
It is stunning. I did good work.
You did. You did do some dang good work. You did.
You was like, okay, wait, before we move on, I don't think you've told the story as like the original inspiration behind London Gate. And I don't know if you're going to talk about that or if you're going to talk about the original story as what inspired Slaughterhouse.
I will. I'm gonna do that after we go through the booth photos. I'm gonna pull up my folder of the images, and we're gonna look, and everyone's gonna be like, "Why do you have 200 files for London Gate?"
Because it's a good story. I just want to make sure it gets told.
Yes, that will be there. Yes, but the apothecary dress, this apothecary print, I keep reworking and reworking and reworking.
You're still working on that one?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I stopped working on it. But then one of the artists I work with got a really good button-up manufacturer. So if you got any of the rayon dogs,
that would be really cool. As a
yeah. So I reworked the pattern for the button-ups, and then when those come in, I'm going to look at them and I'm going to try to rework the pattern again for Lolita prints. I might use the same repeat. We'll see how it goes.
This slaughterhouse has the drawstring bag I made too. There's a literal like heart in there. Like it's a not a person's heart. It's like a Halloween decoration, but there's an actual like heart in that bag, and I feel like people need to know that.
Yes, yeah. The model took it out on the stage and everything. That was fun.
That was fun.
I stored it with that heart in it. I might still have that bag with the heart in it in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
And those horns were like your first attempt at casting a horn.
Yeah, those were the first at antlers. The other headpiece that the other model is wearing with the smaller horns, those were, I think, third or fourth. I got pretty good at those stone horns. I'll tell you the sad story of that antler headpiece. I mentioned it at the workshop yesterday, but I made that. It took me a very long time to make that antler headpiece because when you're making antlers, they have to be somewhat symmetric, but they're not identical copies. They're mirrored. So you have to like think about it and then craft them. And so these are also the aluminum core with a wire running through them for stability, and then polymer clay on top, and then you bake them. And then I wire wrap them to the headbands. So I was really proud of this headband. I got to use it in this fashion show, and I got to use it in one photo shoot. And then I left it on a table, and because my dog doesn't usually chew up things, but this has feathers on it, which smell like animal smells. So my dog tore it apart.
I remember the photo of it being shattered.
Yeah.
I know.
Rip. So upset. I was talking on the workshop panel yesterday that I've always wanted to do a two-part with the workshops where I show people how to make the simple polymer clay horns, and then we wire wrap them to a headband and do a floral headband. But the conventions are not going to let me bring in a toaster oven. But I had the thought yesterday that, with the virtual events, I can actually do this since people have their ovens at home. So maybe in a future event, I might do a workshop on how I made these.
That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. It'll be good. Yeah. MomoCon 2017. Here is the beginning of what you will see with my later booths, where they just start becoming everything. Oh, and I think this is the first time I had more than 2 or 3 colors. This is probably the first time I had this many colorways of the crystal heart necklace, because I started out with just 3 colorways: pink and gold, red and gold, and dark blue and gold. The reason for that being that those teardrop gems, I would get pre-made teardrop and flower chains that I would make into waist chains, and I would have that set. but people kept wanting it as a necklace. So I said, okay, well, let me design like a real necklace that's like this. And so then that's how I designed the crystal heart necklace to start with.
Blue and gold that I have is from the original release.
Yes, yes, it is.
I got the blue and gold and the red and gold, and then I think I gave the red and gold to Fiona. And then I bought a second one.
Yeah, yes, yep. So that's how that happened. And I designed that very much around being, I was like, okay, I haven't seen, it's a little bit inspired by drag jewelry because it is actually kind of a lot of the same techniques they use in drag jewelry, but was designed to be a Sweet Lolita centerpiece necklace kind of a thing. And then now we have like over 70 colorways. So I do not stock all of those colorways. I've stopped doing that, but yeah, you can see some of them. Oh, I used to do those little heart clips. I had so many of those.
You've got the coffin bag here now.
Oh yeah, and the coffin bag is here. That was fun too, because explaining that to my aunt and her sewing team was real interesting. They were like, "You want what now?"
I remember you like printed out like the actual shape, like you made patterns for them.
I did. I made at this point I had started to like get a little more into that engineering mindset of, okay, I need to be very clear exactly what I'm doing, lay it out. And we walked through it quite a bit to get this design done. And they got it. They were like, okay, we don't know how you're going to sell this, but here you go.
I also see your little eyeball clip underneath the coffins that has become like iconic all over your brand.
What, are you accusing me of being too lazy to create?
No, just like you like to keep an eye on things.
We need to get like a sound effect for a drum. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. All right, well that's enough of that. So this is not all my conventions, by the way. I skipped a bunch because I either forgot about them or I couldn't find photos. But here's ACON 2017. This is one of the first conventions I flew to. When you fly to a con, it's very different than when you drive to a con. You're very limited on space. And this is another instance of Lolita Collective saving my ass because I ended up with a corner, like almost a booth. And I didn't come prepared for a corner. And you need a lot more display for a corner. So Emma was like, here, we made a bunch of these little stand-ups for our group. Let me make you one. And she made me this on-brand red plaid little standee. It's one of those science fair boards. But we got it together, and like this booth looks entirely too nice for how ill-prepared I was and the fact that I had 2 suitcases.
I would almost say this looks better than like the last booth where you had all of the things, maybe
because
it's not overwhelming with all of the things.
Yes, exactly that. Oh man.
I am not surprised about this like little corner display thing. Like one of Emma's favorite things is you take the spray on adhesive and you put wrapping paper over something.
Exactly. Oh no, we're giving away Lolita Collective secrets.
Well, this is like a good tip or trick for anybody who does conventions. If you want to make a cute display, grab a can of spray adhesive and some cute wrapping paper. Make everything look amazing.
And it works great. Like especially for this, when you're flying, you got to have lightweight stuff or stuff that you can get rid of, or it's cheap to buy there. So that
would take too long, and that's more expensive.
Yes.
Throw me in the comments. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, no. Though I did have some of that plaid duct tape for a while. I like that stuff. Let's see.
You also, the new thing here is the earrings, the matching crystal heart earrings, and then the wing clips, which were originally a different design, I believe.
Well, I had done them. I'd done clips and a matching necklace, but I had. So yeah,
you also have your first enamel pins in this photo.
Oh yeah, the kawaii poops.
The poop, well, all of them. The poops, the pills. The pills are here.
My first successful enamel pin set is the pills. I did the kawaii poops, which everybody loved and picked up and laughed at, but never really bought. I actually still have them for sale.
Well, you need to tell the story. You have to tell the story of like about the kawaii poop and the fact that it's a self-portrait.
Oh, yes, it is. It's a self-portrait.
Once you tell people it's a self-portrait, they laugh and then they get it.
Well, they laugh and then they don't get it. They don't buy it.
I've sold them for you because
Okay,
I'll put it in your booth and sell your stuff.
I've only had a few people actually. I did one order of 50, and I still have 8, and I gave away a lot of them. I gave away a lot to models. But yes. And then this was my first Menhera design, were these pill pins, and they were pick me up and let me down. The idea being to show like I'm using words I can't pronounce, but they were to show that like medicine can be used for good. You use it correctly. A medicine can be used for bad if you use it incorrectly. Because a lot of the messaging I was seeing online at the time was like anti-medicine or like always medicine, and I was like, no, it's like both of these things are true in certain circumstances. It's just a tool. You just have to use your tool appropriately. So this was the first Menhera design I did, and it did very well. And I still have it. And I'm very proud of it. I'm still very proud of that one. I like it. It's good stuff, yes. But this con, speaking of this con, so I wanted to tell this story. You know about this story,
I wasn't
right?
Here. I wasn't
you weren't there.
I've heard this story, but I don't remember it. I've also seen all of the evidence of this weekend.
All right, this is like on the scale of like lifetime memories that are good. This is very high. This is one of those memories I think about when I get frustrated with events. And I go, okay, but there was that time. So Emma is a foodie and has very like and has like good taste in food and restaurants and everywhere, and also like always wants to get a bit of wherever she's at traveling at cons. So she was like, hey everybody, I want to go to Billy Bob's and check this place out because it's like this big honky tonk place, and I've heard things about it and I want to go check it out. And we were all like, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll come. And so we go, and again, this is like cartoonishly country. So it's not just Texas, because again, it's Texas, but it is a Texas landmark to kind of the extra, just a little bit on the cheesy side because it's a tourist place.
Yeah, this is the stereotype of Texas.
Exactly. So they also one of the main reasons Emma wanted to go is because they have like high quality country and bluegrass music played there all the time and live acts. So we went and we were dicking around. They had a vending machine, a giant vending machine of 10-gallon Texas hats, foam Texas hats, and you can see me and Aaron wearing them.
The one Aaron got is still in the collective warehouse today.
Yes. Mine is still. I forgot to bring it down. I was gonna put it on my head. Maybe I'll bring it back after the break. I'll bring it down. I'll put it on my head. So you can kind of see where the story is going a little bit. But so we all got some beers. I was a little bit drunk, not very. And we come up to this vending machine of giant 10-gallon foam hats, and we're like, oh my god, we have to play this vending machine. So I had $1, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get one, right? They're giant 10-gallon foam hats. Well, I put the $1 in, and I get 2. But the vending machine is not designed for you to pick up 2 hats at once. With my $1, I had picked up 2 hats at once, and they dropped into the bin, and then they got stuck at the top of the bin.
So wait, like, was it a claw machine?
Yeah, it was a claw. Sorry, it was a claw machine, not a vending machine. I don't know why I said that. It was a claw machine, a game machine. And so, like, the claw machines have those bins where you drop the stuff in and they come out. Well, this bin was pretty big, but it was not big enough for 2 hats. So they both dropped into the bin, but they got stuck. And so we are laughing our asses off because I have taken my $1 and on the first try somehow hooked 2 hats and then got the hats stuck. So we're laughing our asses off. We call over somebody who's working there like, hey, we got these things stuck. Can you help us? And they spend this, the claw machine is owned by somebody else, and that claw machine owner rents space from Billy Bob's to put the claw machine there, and whoever owns it gets the profits from it. That's how a lot of these machines and places work. So they don't have the keys for it right on them. So somebody comes out and he's got a long crowbar.
Oh my gosh.
And he gets into like a hole in the machine and starts like trying to poke at it with the crowbar. It doesn't work. And they have the ability to give us free tries. So they give us some free tries to try and like lodge it out with the claw, which doesn't work. And finally, after like 30 or 40 minutes, somebody who has the key to the machine ends up coming in and unlocking the machine and getting us these foam hats. Oh man.
What an adventure, and like I want to say ordeal, but that's just like humorous. Like this is a comedy of errors.
Yeah, it was like, we were having a blast. Like that was such a good time. And yep, and I felt like I was like, oh man, I am the coolest person in the world right now. On one try, I got 2 hats. Like I'm never gonna be better than that moment ever. Like that was my peak. I've peaked. It's happened. It's done.
Just like the thing that keeps coming to my mind right now is like the concept of a disaster buy, and I'm like, this event.
Yeah. Yep. That was a lot of it.
Yep.
That was fun. And to commemorate, they had like a fake riding bull you could take photos on. So we got on there with our hats.
I honestly wondered if this was like a real, like a bowl game, like the fake bowl games. But then Kitty's on there, and I know Kitty can't do that kind of stuff because they have the bad bones. And
the bad bones.
They have the bad bones. You know.
Oh, with Kitty, I should have mentioned meeting Kitty at my first ever. I met Kitty at my first ever vending at MomoCon, and poor Kitty, apparently, like, she had some bad experiences with Lolitas in the past, and she works for the AWA Maid Cafe. She kind of runs it, honestly. And she had done her head accessories up really nice and like a very standard for the time Sweet Lolita style. And so when I saw her, I was like, you must be a Lolita. I see you're working for the maid, but like I see your headpieces. And apparently she just was so touched by that because she was used to Lolitas being shitty to her. Well, but I had recognized her from her headpieces.
Kitty was well endowed by nature, and there is no Lolita dress. While they fit her, there is no Lolita dress that can contain her chest. And so Lolitas tend to not like that because of modesty and...
Yeah, well, her cords are fine.
Her cords are always great.
Like, better than I do. Yeah. So, anyways, I was just like, I mean, like, I see your headpieces like very clearly. You know what you're doing over here. So that's how we became friends, which I thought was neat. And Kitty also is one of those behind the scenes persons who helps out a lot of events, especially with high quality makeup for models, good stuff. But yes, Kitty backstory. Back to the bowl.
Back to.
This is on my fridge. I went to my fridge this morning and took a photo of my fridge. Oh yeah, this is good times. This is good times. Like every time, the goal, really, the reason I go to conventions is for times like this.
Shenanigans before and after.
Yeah. I'll bring that hat down later. Yeah, and we still have the hats. Emma's hat's on a big giant poop emoji.
Well, I mean, we might get to like the story of the poop emoji when we get to RuffleCon. So
I don't have good photos from the first. I don't have any photos from the first RuffleCon, which I think was 2017.
But yeah, the cowboy hat that Aaron is wearing in this photo lives in the collective warehouse.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Well, we have so much more to get through, and it's already
two. I know. Right. It's okay.
I took a bajillion photos at AX, and I didn't take a single photo of of the Lolita Collective Mega booth, and
Okay,
I'm upset with
you
myself.
couldn't take a single photo of the mega booth. Like, for people who don't know, at AX 2017, the Lolita Collective was in the industry section, and we had a 2x3 booth, which means it was 6 booths. We had our own island of J fashion, and we had 20 designers from the collective there helping run the booth. We rented an Airbnb house for the weekend, for the week. We were there for a week in San Francisco, Los Angeles, California,
Los Angeles,
wherever it is.
LA.
It was an event.
So to start this, me and Emma road tripped it from Chicago to LA. So I didn't bring in the road trip photos, but the road trip was great. The road trip was a whole time. I got a racist speeding ticket in Colorado that I'm still mad about. But that aside, road trip was fun. We had a 3-hour delay because somebody crashed partially on a mountain and had livestock. The person was fine, but the livestock, unfortunately, were not.
Oh no!
So because it's a mountain and the way that it's a livestock cart, they had to get a very special tow truck. So we were sitting there for 3 hours. That was funny.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, the Lolita Collective has a big cargo van that they would, when we did events like this, we would take. So it's like not a car, not a truck, big cargo van, like the one that you'd get afraid of being kidnapped in.
Oh, those! If you've seen the Lolita Collective, has these whale purses that they carry. Those whale purses were like falling on our heads the entire trip. So we were, they're like, every time I see one, I just think about it like hitting me in the head on the trip. So that's how full the van is. Oh, that was a great time. That was a lot of fun, that road trip. And part of why we did that road trip was this was part of a series of 5 weeks where I did 5 cons back to back to back. So some more context in there. I think it's back. Well, so my camera has been doing this thing where it only lasts for 30 minutes, but apparently today it's fine, I guess. Get to see like my high res face and my new setup. But yeah, I had stopped. So I had never intended to do art full time. I had always intended to maintain engineering work, but I moved from Atlanta to Pittsburgh with my now husband because he had gotten a fellowship from where we work now that required him to work there for a couple years. And it's the kind of job he wanted. So I decided, oh yeah, I'll move up with you. He moved first, and then I moved a little bit later. And I was like, I'll just, at the time, Pittsburgh was a very good place as a nuclear engineer to get a job because there were 3 or 4 different facilities. What I did not know is that one of those facilities was closing, which meant it went from being a good place to go to, oh no, all of a sudden there are less jobs and I have to compete with the other people who are getting kicked out of this lab. And for some more context, there are not a lot of nuclear engineering jobs in cities. There's the place I worked at in Atlanta, Marion Technologies. There's the lab in Pittsburgh. There's power plants. Most power plants are not near the city. And even then, there are only specific jobs you get at plants. So plants and labs. I joked to my husband that if he had gotten contracted by Idaho National Lab, that I would not have moved with him. He would have been going to Idaho by himself. I was not going to Idaho. I'm sorry to all my Idaho viewers. I love you guys, but I don't want to live in Idaho. Anyways, so I was really stressed out because I still hadn't been able to get a job, and I was doing a bajillion cons, and I did 5 in a row. And I went. I drove with Emma from Chicago because I was going to fly back to Chicago to do Anime Midwest, which I signed up for before realizing it was run by a terrible person. I will not do any cons run by that terrible person anymore, as a side note. So it was a road trip, part of a whole month of not being at home doing cons. It was living my 20s up, I guess.
I feel like at that time, though, in 2017, most people who did conventions were doing probably between 15 and 20. That's the number I was doing back then. And so you ended up with in the summer they were back to back to back, and then you just were desperate for a break, and now I don't do conventions anymore.
Yep. After doing those 5 cons in a row, I said never again. I said this was too much stress. I'm not doing this again, and I didn't. I, however, am very proud that I had the capability and had the opportunity to do that at least once. But anyways, that leads to that ends with me saying I stole this booth photo from Lolita Collective's Facebook because I didn't take any. Apparently,
It was a rough weekend for everyone.
Yes. Go to Lolita Collective's Facebook and look at all the photos. It was huge. It was so glorious. Oh, we had so many designers there.
This was when you got the meet banner, was for this event.
And then Emma came out to us and was like, oh shit, we need some banners. Make me some graphics or some banners. I'll get them printed. And so we all quickly made something for her to print.
In 24 hours, had them printed at FedEx or Kinko's or whatever it's called these days.
Yeah. And I still use that banner.
I still have mine from that event too.
Yeah, those are great. We had them up. I was like, oh my god, I have a banner up at AX, and I'm in a giant booth. And this was also aside from Lena, I hadn't met or talked to much of the other Lolita Collective designers, so this was my first time meeting everybody, really getting to talk to them, and so I have some more fun photos from that. So one thing is this is where I met Kamila and Daniel Creepy, who are both my friends. Creepy, who helping me guest judge and also did the DJ event last night and has provided music for lots of my shows, as well as modeled for me, and Kamila from Hired Decora, who's amazing and someone I've looked up to for a long time because for people who don't know, my art, I actually came in from a more American graphic novel design. I really love American graphic novel work and American cartoons and comic books. That style of art is my favorite, especially stuff that's very heavy on line work with inking and all of that stuff. And Hard Decora's work very much has that American comic book feel to it. And so I love that. And I love that she does that style in J fashion. So loved her work and was very excited to finally get to meet her and hang out with her. And that was a great time too. And also Decora Demon, and then I've forgotten what Saxon's brand name is.
Magic Pop is the main line. Fudge. I can't remember her main shop. Magic Pop is her main line.
Changed brands a couple of times, but yes, I'll have to hang out with her. Oh, I'm seeing somebody mention vending in an apartment building. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. How did you do that?
How are you zoned for that? Is it mixed use?
Maybe I'm assuming there was some sort of an event. Oh, in the Cultural Center in Chicago. I've heard stories about the Lolita Collective Cultural Center event, but I don't know those stories well enough to share them.
Yeah, you and I were not involved in those events.
Yes. Oh yeah, but here's more fun, and then I'm gonna surprise.
Look how tired I am! Oh my god, I'm just done. We're taking a photo. Hello.
Yeah, there were more people in the van. We packed up we were just tired, and we were like, "Fuck it, we're all just sitting in the van," and we all just
everybody piled into the creeper van because it's a white van. It's an all white van. At least it has windows, but. There are no seats in the back.
Nope. We all just were like, yeah, fuck it, we're going. We're sitting in the van. Emma, drive us somewhere.
I think this was us driving home at the end of the convention, but it might have been us driving to Japantown for dinner.
Oh, this person's talking about when me and Kamila did the event and we went to that cultural center. That was such a good time too. I almost included some photos from there. I got to meet Jane, who does all these cool Etch-a-Sketch art, and that was a fun time. We did a cool video. Yeah, that was a fun time. All right, back to the creeper van.
I think I have this photo in my phone saved still.
Yeah, it's quality. I had a couple more. I think Kamila's in the van with us too.
Yeah, they are.
Jordana's probably like, what? Why did you show this photo to people?
I was thinking that she's gonna be like, "Oh, great."
I thought she might be in the chat and then would therefore get to comment on it, but that's cool. Yeah, we were all just like, yep, we packed up a giant booth. We're sitting in the van now.
This also could have been like the end of the con. We were heading back with all of our stuff, but it might have been the first day. Time is an illusion. We don't know where this falls in our timeline, but we have evidence that this happened.
Oh, so much happened that AX that really like.
I feel like it must have been the first day because I'm wearing my Putumayo top, and that would have been like my travel clothes.
Put brand here on the van to attract Lolitas. Oh.
Scream.
See you. I think that's my last. I didn't put. I had a lot of AX photos, but I don't think I put any more in. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Here we are.
So
it was when we split the booth.
So I did do RuffleCon in 2016, but I couldn't find the photos. I did it with Lolita Collective, and that was my second or third fashion show, and I won their designer contest. I got third place, and I got that 100% because they knew that I had made the print work on the skirts. They SA Designs got first place because they had some fantastic work. I don't remember who the other winner was.
It was Ichigo Gami. It was strawberry
paper doll.
I'm like,
they had that. They did this beaded corset. That was amazing. And then underneath it, there was like a beaded blouse or something. That was.
It was So there was a coat, a blouse. The sleeves were removable. They had a butt ruff kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
When you took it off, it was a fanny pack in the back.
I didn't know about the fanny pack.
The butt's a fanny pack. And they did a couple of. I feel like they had 3 looks in because we could all enter a max 3 looks, but they might have that year they might have entered individually instead of as a brand, and they got first place as an individual because of the level of detail they had in that. I don't remember who the third brand was that placed.
I don't remember either. Well,
2016 was the year when you got the poop emoji, and I don't actually know the story as to why you and Emma showed up to RuffleCon with when we say poop emoji, we're not talking about like a little flat guy. We're talking about a 3D poop emoji that I'm 5 feet tall, and like if I curled up in a ball and like sat down or something, like he's bigger than me. This thing is bigger than me.
Oh yeah, the bean bag.
He's a beanbag chair size.
I had nothing to do with Emma coming in with that beanbag. Emma and Erin went to Walmart in the middle of their road trip from Chicago or something. And Emma was having a moment and was like, you know what? I need that. And it was our mascot. Oh, there's a really cute photo I have of it somewhere.
The beanbag chair poop emoji lives in the collective warehouse wearing that 10-gallon top cowboy hat.
Beautiful. The cowboy hat is like really sun bleached on one side now. It's beautiful.
Yes, because it's been at the top of the bookshelf opposite of a window for however many years at this point.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. That RuffleCon was RuffleCon 2016. I couldn't find a good photo of it. We'll just mention it briefly. That was a good time. That was another time where I got to I was still very new. I got to finally meet brands. It was the first time somebody, one of the Japanese guests, bought anything for me. They didn't know it was for me. They had bought something from Lolita Collective, and it happened to be one of my items. A lot of the nicer Japanese brand guests will actually go around and make a point to visit Lolita indies and fashion indies because they're nice, and they make a point to interact and buy some items with you. So just a side note. But yeah, that RuffleCon was a good time. That was I actually stayed at the con hotel for that.
Yeah.
With Emmy and somebody, and maybe Helena. I don't know.
Probably.
We were all spooky. But anyway, okay, so that nice, fun RuffleCon aside, here's RuffleCon 2017.
I feel like 2017 was the last one, or at least the last one we.
It was.
It was the last one.
It was, and oh boy, did it make sure to let you know it was going to be the last one.
Ah! Yeah, that's the Mold Hotel one.
Yeah. Well, that was, yeah. And they had the Mold Hotel complaints before.
Yeah.
But they continued, and then I had a terrible time about it that some of you are aware of. Terrible. And at this time, I was so in 2016, like I was still very new. 2017, I'd done guesting a few times. I think at this point, maybe once. I think OniCon, which I put after RuffleCon in my slideshow for some reason, and I was getting a little bit more of a sense of like what is the correct way to be respectful to other designers, and also just because I had met so many established designers that I kind of understood like what annoys them at this point. Well, then we did 2017 RuffleCon. So I'm gonna try and give only some of the story. Like Lena's got this face like, all right. So I had a terrible time in this con. Oh, there goes my camera for real now, I think. All right, we'll swap cameras. Oh, wait, is it back? No. All right, there we go. Turning my chair around. Yeah. All right, there we go. Hello again.
Hello again.
So best freeze frame pick. Heck yeah. Yeah. Some backstory. I bought a new camera this year from a friend who was getting rid of theirs to use as a DSLR. It happens to also take video, and then I got software that allows me to use it as a webcam, but I didn't start testing this until yesterday. And we found out that for some reason the battery life doesn't last as long as it should, though it ended up lasting an hour and a half for this event. So, well, I'll work on it some more. But all right, RuffleCon 2017, the worst time. It started off bad because in their contract they were doing 2 whole days of fashion shows, and so they wanted a lot of people to show. And
I'm like remembering now what happened. I remember dropping last minute, and then I'm so glad that I did. I know, let you finish the story. Go ahead.
Yep. All right. Well, they started with sending us these contracts that said, if you drop out, we're going to make you pay us money. And I was like, excuse me, what? So mind you, this is like designers applying to show at the show. This is not guests. We are paying for our own vending table. We are paying for our own tickets, and we're just putting on a show at RuffleCon for the heck of it. And they gave us these contracts like, if you drop out, you have to give us money. So first of all, you can't, that's not even really like a legal thing you can put in a contract. So we were all like, what are you doing? And then it's also like nonsense. What you should put in your what you should tell them is like, if you need to drop out, tell us by this date, because these are not people you are not giving them anything. They're just showing at your show for fun.
It's free content, but you want to charge us if like there wasn't even like a force majeure clause in there.
Right? So dumb. Oh, another fun fact. I did panels for this event, and I actually got DJ Melody Doll to agree to show live on a panel, but I had requested for MuffleCan really early. I was like, look, I got this guest who lives in Japan to agree to show live. I need to make sure I have the video tech set up for that, and I need to make sure you're going to schedule the panel at a time that isn't ass o'clock in the morning. And they didn't respond to me, so I told DJ Melody Doll, hey, look, they're not able to confirm the tech support with me. Let's do something some other time. And then 3 weeks before the event, they're like, oh yeah, we accept your panel. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Oh man, that was a mess too. Oh yeah, and then me and another designer who I will keep anonymous, for their personal whatever, wanted to work with Kitty for our makeup because we know her. She does a good job, and it's a lot. We can do a much better show if we have time to pre-plan with the makeup artist, and that makes the makeup artist's job easier if we pre-plan and provide the models and tell the makeup artist what we're looking for. All good around, and we were intending to pay our makeup artist with money because we were requesting more specific things and wanted to work specifically with them. But RuffleCon would not let us do that and said no, the makeup artists are for the paid. So some people paid to have like featured spots in the fashion show. Don't ask me. And they're like, no, the makeup artists are for those people first. And we're like over here, like, excuse you, the makeup artist is a person and should be allowed to, have some say in what they want to do. And our shows did not conflict with anybody else. It was a whole so that was something where I was like, all right, y'all are shitty.
Yeah.
It's just spiteful, and it just hurts the makeup artist because RuffleCon is providing them with a high level of things, but they're not like paying them for the makeup, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. They were paying for a lot of their expenses for the con and some other things, and that's kind of standard at events. So I'm not dissing that in general, but I am saying if somebody is offering to give that person a paid spot as part of your already event programming and wants you to work with them so it doesn't get in the way, you say yes, obviously. Anyways, so that aside, we're just over here like, excuse you. And then I requested that my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, I put in ahead of time that he would be helping me at the event so that he's supposed to get like a volunteer badge that allows him to come help me at the event because I wanted him to film the event for me. Well, oh man, or maybe I'll tell about them fucking up my panel time first, and then we'll get to the juicy bit. Well, they also they scheduled me for my workshop panel that I do, the same headband panel, and they sent me an email with the time, and I was like, okay. But then it ends up they scheduled me for like an hour after my fashion show. So first of all, I'd never have been able to make that because there's cleanup you have to do after a fashion show, and never told me. And they had it on the guidebook that I was supposed to be paneling at a certain time, but had given me a completely different time. And I didn't download the guidebook because every single convention I go to has their own app for a guidebook. And I am not downloading 30 apps a year. I'm not doing it. Convention apps are a good thing for attendees, but for me, it's impractical. So I didn't know. And how I found out is I had a bunch of people, like I have a pretty good reputation as if I'm going to panel, I'm going to be there early and I'm going to be ready and all that. I have a good reputation of not missing those things. So everybody started messaging me and calling me and being like, Puvi, where are you? Are you okay? Did something happen? Because everybody legitimately thought that if she's missing her panel without warning, she must be injured. So I'm over here after the fashion show already upset, like, what in the fuck? So I find the panelist head, and she at least, like, when I show her my email and she realizes what happened, she at least apologized and was like, look, okay, this is on my end. I'm sorry about that. And rescheduled me for a new time for the next day. And this is not the head of panelist's fault. More other than that, there wasn't staff communication put in place to handle something like this, which is not necessarily her fault. But there were no announcements made on social media or anything to explain to people who, other than me posting that this mix-up had happened. So I was a little annoyed about that, but I don't blame the head of panelists for that. All right, so then the worst part is we already know that this fashion show is being run in a nightmarish way for being spiteful for no reason. Well, so I'm trying to get my now husband in to film for me, and I'm sending him to a friend so that I know he's not by himself. And then he doesn't have a badge for the weekend. He has his volunteer badge, and they refuse to let him in. They actually physically drag him out of the hall, like physically hold him and grab him out of a hall. Somebody who's supposed to be videotaping a fashion show for a designer doing a vlog, right? Right? Like, and I'm thinking too, like, if I had been dating a girl at the time instead, like, this would have become a very serious problem,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, they physically drag him out and refuse to let him sit in and watch or film my show. And I'm here like, I am doing a free show for you. I actually had a fantastic show planned. I am doing a free show, and you won't let my significant other in to film the show for me? Excuse you. Like, I as a designer have let like models' parents come in and sit with their kid and do things, and I've had been at shows where they clear stuff like that ahead of time and let them come in. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, it is unheard of not letting a designer's filmographer film at a show. And they were like, no, you have to buy an $80 ticket for him. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm doing a free show for you right now, and I paid $200 to vend over here. What are you doing? So I was very upset about that. I had him standing out the door watching, but then they like slammed the door in his face as soon as I wasn't there to yell. As soon as they saw that I had started the show, because I was like real close to being like, I'm not doing the show.
Yeah.
It's real close. Yeah. Oh, they slammed the door in his face, and I was like, I can't like, why? Just so it was 100% spite. There was no good reason. Like, I've had objectively worse fashion show experiences where things have been objectively more messed up, but they were never spiteful. They were always somebody trying their hardest and just not making the mark. It was never somebody trying to be an asshole. So, ugh, yeah. And I can't share the other stories with you, but I found out that like RuffleCon just does this to all of their talent all of the time. So
Did
glad
it.
I'm not instead.
Past tense did. Rep.
Rip, rest in pieces, RuffleCon. So glad you're gone. So glad we can go to things like Paradiso and Royal Vegas that are run by people who are nice and care instead. All right. All right. Enough sadness. Enough sadness. So my models, so good. Good models. This is the first time I came out with anything. This is the first fashion show with non-Lolita items. So this is like me switch. Onicon might have happened before this, but this is the first time most of the Lolitas saw me come out with something non-Lolita. So this was a big surprise to everybody. I popped out this collab with Bitter Bat.
I'm going to take a quick break, Poopy.
All right. We can go ahead. Actually, we were supposed to break a little bit, so I think we might go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll pop back in, and we'll probably run a little late this time. So I'll see you guys again in 10 minutes where we'll talk about not RuffleCon. All right, see you guys in a little bit.